So with your extended family, when we test, I feel completely safe, secure, relaxed. I can rest deeply knowing that I'm completely safe and secure within my extended family. So at Q1, so going down the first quarter of depth down to 25 feet, you're strong on that. Down to 30 feet, you're strong. Down to 31 feet, you go weak. First chakra, second chakra, third chakra. So solar plexus, superficial to medium depth. Okay, let's stay sun and grass. So we're gonna, let's see which finger. Right middle finger tip, right there in the solar plexus. Bring in the energy of the sun and grass right there. Hold that there with your right middle fingertip.
You want me to actually put my finger there? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm gonna guide you how to self-clear.
Okay.
All right, sun and grass. So that's clear down to 30 to 35 feet, down to 36, 37, 37.1 goes weak. Let's stay BC. D, taste, smells, kinesthetic, sharp, soft. Think of something hard like a rock right there, right middle fingertip. Superficial to medium depth. 11, 12, good. Okay, you can let go of that. I feel completely safe, secure in the, even when I'm not invited. So now we're going to challenge that statement.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Even when my husband is mad and not talking to me. So that would be like testing. Like if you say, I feel completely safe playing guitar. Okay, now imagine you're playing in front of 10,000 people. Oh, okay, that changes things. Okay, so
Right.
this is in the moment now, but I feel completely safe and secure in my family, even when I'm being ignored. Even when I'm being ignored, I'm being shunned, I'm being, uninvited, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So we're trying to get your subconscious to know it's safe and secure, even in those most extreme moments. Okay, first chakra, second chakra, third chakra, superficial to medium depth. Let's stay sun and grass, right middle fingertip. So even in those moments, I know they're just having their little hissy fits. And it's
You want me to put my hand back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go back there, just the middle fingertip. So when I say tip, so this is position 1, this is position 2. The tip is straight in like an arrow. There we go.
Okay.
So I can relax and know this is all temporary. And people go through their processes. They get triggered, they get reactivated, but it's all temporary. What we ultimately want to get to is a place we know that we can be true to ourselves and things will be okay. The opposite of that is what I call, not what I call, but what's called the prostitute archetype.
Okay.
The prostitute archetype is that we all have. It's a thing where we say, okay, to get what I want, I'll give up something of myself. What would you do for $1 billion? Or what, there's things that we would do, right? That's the prostitute archetype. There's things that you wouldn't say if you knew you were going to be abandoned.
Right.
You wouldn't be true to 100% true to yourself.
Yeah.
If you knew it would cost you the love of people that you care about. That's the prostitute archetype. So if you knew that you would be okay if you were 100% true to yourself, that's what we're trying to get you to. It's like I'm going to be true to myself. So I'm going to create meaningful boundaries and take care of myself. I'm going to love myself, even if it costs me,
Yeah.
abandonment. It's powerful. So breathe through that. I love myself enough to be true to myself, even when it costs me. Even when people are trying to manipulate me into not being true to myself. It's a lesson
Yeah.
for everyone. And they might not come around for a day or a week or a year or never. And if they never come around, then they weren't the right people for you. So that's kind of the place we're trying to get your subconscious.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a story. So I'm not the most courageous guy you've ever met, probably.
Yeah.
But I knew for absolute fact that the whole thing with the masks
Yeah.
was an absolute psyop, because I'd read the science and I knew they did absolutely nothing to stop viruses. It
Right.
was only the government testing to see what they could get away with. If they could trigger people into being in so much fear that they would do something that had absolutely no scientific validity. In fact, they got Anthony Fauci to do a deposition for 6 hours, and they said, to this day, do you have a single study that shows that the masks stop viruses? And he said, no, I don't have anything. Right? It was a complete and utter joke. And I knew it because I know how the medical system works and I know how the government works.
Yeah.
And so I would go into stores and sometimes I would have to sit there for 10, 15 minutes and clear myself to be the only one in a store that refused to wear a mask.
Right.
Like I wouldn't go along with what society had accepted.
Yeah.
And I didn't care what it cost me. I got to know the police really well. And, I was educating the police, and, that happened
Yeah.
many times. But that really strengthened me.
Yeah.
So I was just in Utah, and they'd say, well, they'd say this store is private property. I'd say, no, it's not. It's a public accommodation. You have to honor civil rights laws. And so I had all these laws, and I tried to explain it, but they wouldn't listen. I said, fine, if you don't want to listen, call the cops, and I'll educate them. And
Yeah.
so I was just in Utah, and I had the snow was so bad you couldn't drive to the ski resorts, so you had to park and ride the buses.
Oh,
And so I was on this crowded bus, and the bus they were shoving everyone to the back, and so we had to take the bus back at the end of the day, and everyone was exhausted, and I had a seat, and there was this man there, was probably in his 30s, from Argentina. And there were 3 kids that were like 13 years old, 12, 13.
Mhm.
And they had put the seats up, like at the front of the bus, they could fold the seats up so that more
Okay.
people could jam in there. And the bus was leaving, and it wasn't totally, there was still room for the kids to put their seat down. And there was plenty of room. And so the kids, there was this guy, this South American, who he was kind of snooty. And the kid said to him, he said, excuse me, sir, do you mind if we put the seats down? Because the bus ride was an hour long.
Yeah.
And he said, he had an accent. He said, yes. And he went back to texting. And one of the other kids said, because he had an accent, they thought, well, maybe he didn't understand. Do I have it right that you do mind if we put the seats down?
Yeah.
And all he had to do was move like 6 inches over, and they could have been comfortable and sat down. And he says, no, you have that right. I'm not okay with you putting the seats down. Okay. And none of the adults around there said anything. And the kids were just like looking, they couldn't believe this guy wouldn't move over 6 inches so that
Right.
they could be comfortable. And so after 30 seconds, nobody said anything. And so I said to the man, I said, excuse me, would you like my seat? You know,
Yeah.
would you like to sit, you know, because, you know, I'm sure you're tired. He said, no, I'm fine. I'm like, no, I don't mind. You can have my seat and I'll stand there and the kid can sit down. I don't mind. You have
Yeah.
my seat. He says, no, I'm fine with standing. I said, well, it's reasonable for you to ask these kids to stand. You know, I'm willing to give up my seat. And I said to the kids, you go ahead and put that chair down. He can move a foot. He can move a foot over.
Yeah.
And and so he moved over a foot. The kids got up and put their seat down.
Yeah.
And if that guy attacked me, I didn't care. It was like I was willing to, you know, play
Yeah.
that part. And before the pandemic, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You know, I'd strengthened that part of me. So the fact that you just set a boundary with your mother, this is the lesson for you to be learning at this time.
Yeah.
You know, how to do the right thing, even if it costs you, even scared,
Yeah.
even if it costs you, you know, a holiday. If it's the right thing to do, you do it. So you're confronting the prostitute archetype.
Right.
Um, so, so even when my husband, even when my family, even if all of them turn against me, I'm willing to love myself enough to do what I know is right, even if it costs me that much. Okay. So if you say that at Q1, Q2, I'm willing to risk all that. Okay. To the core of my being, you go weak on that. First chakra, second chakra, third chakra. Let's stay sun and grass, right middle fingertip right there. Go back there. I'm willing to risk all that and be that true to me. There's a famous thing by George Bernard Shaw
Hmm.
that said, tell me if you know it, a reasonable man changes himself to suit the world. An unreasonable changes the world to suit him. That's why all progress relies on the unreasonable man. Right?
I haven't
So
heard that.
yeah, I have it a little bit wrong, but that's the idea. Last day, it was unreasonable for Gandhi to think he could kick the British out of India, right? And yet all he had to do was stand there and
Yeah.
draw the line, you know. And eventually the world came around to his point of view, right? So
Yeah.
we're all capable of that. You know, we just have to find that steel in us to
Right.
say this is, you know, I know what's right, even if the 99% don't agree with it.
Right. Yeah. I think I'm the first in my family. There's so much trauma and abuse and just all of that.
Yeah,
I think I'm the first to kind of, stand
yeah,
up to that and say, like, we're not doing this anymore.
beautiful, beautiful. Someone's got to
Yeah.
be the one, right? So
Yeah.
um, we can do it on a global scale or a family scale, and you know they're
Right.
equally as important.
Yeah.
It all starts. It's the ripple effect. You do that. You be that for your family, and then you know it just creates a ripple effect. It's Q1, 2, 3, 4 core. So willing to do that for this family, even if it costs me um, connection, even if it costs me connection. Because essentially you say your family becomes your relationship to, if you believe in God, then God,
Yeah.
right? So that becomes your family. That becomes the connection and the source that you depend on,
Right.
and nothing else, right? And then everything else is just gravy or icing, you
Right.
know. So Q1, 2, 3, 4 core, level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, level 7. So now we have to anchor this into your reflexology systems. That's level 7. So hands, feet, eyes, tongue. So that fear, that feeling unsafe, we're going to clear that in your reflexology systems. First, second, third, list A, sungrass, sun and grass, plus the extended visible spectrums, so from infrared to ultraviolet. So bring that in as well, sun, grass, and the extended visible spectrum. Right middle fingertip there. Schindler's List is a good movie to understand.
I don't know if
He
I've
was,
ever seen it. I know I've heard of it.
do you know the story?
Remind me.
Say through K advanced technology, level 1, 2, 3. Black hole. Think about a black hole right there. So all that fear, all that shaking, release that to a black hole. We're anchoring you that your sense of connection is between you and God, not between you and these people, right? So I'm going to be true to myself and rely on my connection to God, which I can depend on, right? That's not going to ever leave you.
Right.
That's a rock, right? That's solid. Black hole there. Schindler was a German. He was a Nazi soldier, but he knew it was wrong, what was happening. He had no skin in the game. He wasn't going to be, he wasn't at risk, and yet he did things secretly to counterfeit passports for Jews
Uh-huh.
so that they could flee the country, so that they could get papers that would help them to escape.
Okay.
And if he had been caught, right, he would have been killed.
Right.
And he saved, and he had to work underground. He had to bribe people. He had to give up, things. And I can't remember. I think he saved some 1,200 people, some couple thousand people, maybe.
Yeah.
And when the war was over, he cried because he realized he still had a watch on. He still could
Oh,
have given a watch and saved one more person.
yeah. Wow.
So so Schindler's List was this list of Jews that he was trying to get papers for.
Okay.
Uh, Liam Neeson played Schindler. Yeah. Say 3K advance. Level 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Level 11. Parallel universes. Sun and grass, right middle fingertip. So this is your meditation. This is your prayer. My subconscious mind feels safe. So your safety, your subconscious mind feels safe because you're connected with God, not because your family approves of you or invites you.
Yeah.
That's the switch that we're trying to accomplish here.
Okay.
C3K advanced technology, level 11, level 12. Level 12 is Level 12 is if you imagine you're standing in between two mirrors and you see all the different refractions of your reflection. So it's all the different fractals of your energy, clearing you all the way in the past and the future. So let's stay sun and grass again, right middle fingertip, level 12. Okay. I feel completely safe and secure. Even when people aren't talking to me, even when my husband's not talking to me, even if somebody's yelling at me, even if I'm being bullied, even when my family's doing everything they can to get me to fold to their will. I was leading a group of people to go into Trader Joe's and shop without a mask in Santa Barbara. It was pretty funny. In Santa Barbara, there's two stores, one on Milpa Street, one on De La Vina Street. And so we were planning this for noon the next day, and there was going to be like 6 of us that were going to go in. And so we were going to go into the De La Vina store. So the day before, I called up the store on Milpa Street and I said, I overheard there were some people planning to shop without a mask at your store tomorrow at noon. So I knew they would send all the tough guys over to the Milpa store.
Right.
In expectation of us going in that store. So when we went into the De La Vina store, it was just all the wimpy guys at that store. They were just like, oh, could you please put on a mask? You know, and so they had sent the police and all the, you know, all their toughest employees on store. And then we went into the De La Vina store. It was funny. You know, we had a good time.
I love that. I just took my son to the dentist Monday. He chipped his tooth. He fell on his face at basketball practice, and they had us put a mask on, and I just was like, what are we doing? Like, this is just so silly.
Yeah, it's tough. So okay, so you can release that. So even when my family pulls out all of their manipulations, I feel completely safe and secure. They can do whatever they will. They can leave. They can threaten. They can, whatever. Right? If they touch you, you'll call the police. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like no.
My mom has basically threatened to kill herself. She has used, so my brother has passed, and she can connect with him through her dreams at times. And she has manipulated me with things that he has said, and it's just really dark and gross. And so, anyways. You say manipulation, and I'm like, yes, 100%. That is like the whole energy of the relationship.
Just call their bluff. It reminded me of I was in a seminar called The Forum, and this woman was going on about some tale of woe, and she was crying and and she was going on, she was bawling, and there's 200 people in the room, and the guy who was leading the seminar is very, very funny guy. And so he slowly walked over to a box of tissues and got the box of tissues and walked over to her. Everyone expected he was going to hand her a tissue, but he stood right in front of her and blew his own nose. Went,
oh my gosh.
like super loud. And it just totally burst the bubble, and she just started laughing hysterically. It just, somebody needed to not take it seriously.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, it just exploded, and it was over at that point.
Yeah.
That's all it takes, is just one moment like that where they need to realize you're not bending,
Right.
and then it's over.
Yeah. I've had this
That's-
thought repeatedly over the last 2 months of like someone will come to mind in my family, like my cousin Kayla, who I've been really close with. Like she knows what's going on and hasn't tried to reach out, or like just not in the way I would have expected, because we are so close, or have been at least. But she doesn't want to hear about any of it, which I understand. Like that's fine. And I've told her, like, we don't have to talk about any of this. But then I'll have this thought of her coming to mind, and I'll almost think like, I do so much for you, or I've been there so many times for you. Why can't you be here for me right now? And I had this realization the other day. I was like, I'm hurting my own feelings. Like, why do I continue to choose this thought? Like, it's not true. I know she loves me. I know she cares about me. And for whatever reason, she doesn't have the energy or the space to like show up, in some way, shape, or form right now.
You've read Byron Katie?
Huh.
Oh, you're as if you'd read her book called Loving What Is.
Okay. I haven't
She's
heard of it.
speaking that same language right now, so I figured you'd read that book.
Oh, huh.
Because she would say that, why am I choosing this thought? That's brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, this thought's not serving me.
Right. Yeah.
If Kayla did call up and support you,
Right.
it would be easier. You're being tested. It doesn't require you to find it within yourself
Yeah.
to do that,
Yeah.
because you have an ally.
Right. Well, and that's what I was thinking too, is like, is this my ego that needs someone to like validate me?
Yeah,
Or, like I need to be able to do this for myself. Yeah.
it's great. So she's playing her part perfectly.
Yeah.
So if you can see it that way, you
Right. Okay.
can. The whole goal is to not resist what is. It's like, okay, that's what is. The shift is realizing that life never makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Now that's not true. It's not true, but it's a perspective that you can take on if you want it, if you want to. It's
Yeah.
a very empowering perspective. If you think about it. So if if somebody does something and you start with the premise that that's perfect, then your only work is trying to figure out how it's perfect. Say, God, I don't understand how this is perfect, but I
Yeah.
understand that it is, because you don't make mistakes. Show me how it's perfect. And then that becomes your meditation. Then you go, oh, okay, if Kayla had called and supported me, then, this would be, and I wouldn't have to find it within myself to finally find the strength to stand up to this manipulation. Oh, okay, now I see why this is happening.
Yeah.
I didn't see when I was 2 and my mother left because she was alcoholic.
Mm.
I understand how that was perfect for 30 years till I became this, healer. And, I realized without that kind of test, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have developed in the way that I developed. And, now I have gifts as a result of that. And,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So that's great. So let's work on that right now. So we're going to work on the statement, it's impossible for life to make a mistake.
Okay.
The opposite of that statement, or the other way of saying that, is perfection is the only possibility.
Okay.
Okay. So we want your subconscious to be anchored in that belief system. So there's two reasons to believe something. Usually people believe things that they think are true.
Okay.
You know, I believe things. Why do you believe that? Because I think it's true. This isn't like that. This is a belief that you believe because it serves you to believe it.
Okay.
It makes your life stress-free. How can you be stressed about perfection? If perfection's the only possibility, how can you be stressed about that? Every situation is either a wonderful experience or a great opportunity to learn and grow. Either of those choices can be viewed as perfect. My subconscious believes at Q1, Q2, Q3 for life to make a mistake. So to the core of your being, I believe. So when I say I believe, it means your subconscious operates from that program.
Okay.
So I'm programmed to believe to the core of my being that it's impossible for life to make a mistake. Perfection is the only possibility. First, second, third chakra. Okay, let's stay sun and grass, superficial, medium to deep in your heart. Sun and grass, right middle fingertip. It's called master point therapy. Just the middle of your right fingertip.
Mm-hmm.
Just hold that point. It's about a 10-minute explanation. It's called master. So the fingertips have certain energies that radiate out of the points on the fingers.
Okay.
So just right there, hold that. That's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, core. Wow, okay. So I'm rooted in the belief that it's impossible for life to make a mistake. I might not always understand the perfection, but I can relax knowing that everything from the flat tire to somebody dying is perfect. It's perfect. What we're trying to do is get to a place where we love what is.
Okay.
It's very easy to create what is. Like I can snap I'm going to do a magic trick. I'm going to snap my fingers and make the universe exactly the way it is. What a miracle. It's very hard to make the universe the way it isn't.
Right.
Right. So a lot of our spring, it's like, I didn't get invited. Well, that's what is. I didn't get invited.
Right.
And yet we're investing emotional energy to try to make it the way it isn't.
Yeah.
The book Loving What Is, it's a profound book. She would go into prisons and try to go just to a place of acceptance of, yeah, here I am in jail, right?
Right.
So they didn't resist it. The suffering came from the resistance of what is. Okay. So that's what is. My mother said this. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
She's a child having a hissy fit. We're all children having hissy fits, right? Doesn't matter how old we are.
Right.
Temper tantrum because we're not getting our way.
Yeah.
So anyways, we've got to rise above that. If we're not laughing, we're missing something. Ultimately, that's why the Buddha's laughing, because he gets the whole joke of life, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're taking it way too seriously. Okay. So perfection's the only possibility. Level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7. So we want to anchor that in our chakras, meridians, reflexology systems. Let's say sun graph, extended visible spectrum, right middle fingertip. Once again, let it go into the black hole. Clear that level 8. it's one thing to know it intellectually. We're trying to program it into your subconscious so that your emotions act in alignment to this truth, this belief. State okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So I'm now operating from the belief that perfection is the only building. So the affirmation, which you just do because you've lived your whole life from a different belief, from the belief that it's possible for mistakes to happen, impossible for,
Right.
things to go wrong. That's the belief that the whole world is living in, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope I make the right choice because there's a right choice and one's good and one's bad, right? It's this whole dichotomy.
Yeah.
We're shifting to a place where there is no possibility for mistakes. You either have a great experience or you learn something.
Yeah.
And then you make a different choice the next time. Okay, I learned, I got burned. I was on the phone with my mentor one day. My son was a baby. I said, hold on a second. My son's about to stick his hand in the fire. And he had 3 children, right? He said, well, you could stop him, but the learning curve is really steep.
Yeah.
Child sticks his hand in fire. So, and I laughed. I was like, all right, yeah, I guess he'll learn his lesson, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so what you want to do is say that as an affirmation, and say it as an affirmation as a gratitude statement. Thank you, God, for teaching me that perfection is the only possibility. Thank you, God, for teaching me that thing in life is always perfect. Say it however you want. So in the morning and at night, reaffirm that. So, your system, doesn't revert back.
Okay.
It's easy to slip back on that one because the
Yeah.
whole world is operating a different time. So you have to keep
Right.
reminding yourself of that.
Okay.
And when you catch yourself getting sad or getting serious or getting scared, that's your way back.
Okay.
All right. Good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, wait more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wait more than a week. We can have, yeah, check in about 2 weeks and let me know if you feel like you need to get some more work on
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So, great work, on the boundaries and the family and all that stuff. And
Thank you.
just have fun with it. Just laugh like we did.
Yeah. I'm trying for sure.
Good, good.